Welcome to the introduction of Horus Heresy Legions. Before going into depth about each legion and the other factions and their heroes, I thought it might be appropriate to first explain the settings of the Warhammer universe. Agricultural worlds, commonly known within the Imperium as agri-worlds, are some of the most important planets within the Imperium. As the name implies, agri-worlds produce food for the Imperium. This typically supports hive worlds and the Imperial army. I will explain shortly what a hive world is. Agri-worlds have a relatively small population in comparison to other planets within the Imperium. The majority of the land will be covered with fields, such as cornfields. That's corn with a C, not a K, not to get confused with the Chaos God. Some planets may be dedicated to animal husbandry. An example, grogs, which, like modern day cow, are herd animals. The noticeable difference between cows and grogs, however, is that grogs are extremely aggressive reptilians, although, thankfully, in modern day Imperium, they do have technology to pacify these creatures. Civilized worlds are the most common type of settlement within the Imperium. Generally speaking, civilized worlds are self-sustaining planets. For an easy comparison, the layout of a civilized world and population would be very similar to modern day Earth. For the Horus Heresy Legion players, a civilized world that you may be familiar with is Calth. Hive worlds are less common than civilized worlds within the Imperium. As previously mentioned, hive worlds are not self-sustaining settlements. Without regular food imports from agri-worlds, hive worlds would quickly fall to famine. It should be noted, however, that hive worlds make the perfect breeding grounds for potential recruits for the Astartes and for the Imperial army, which, depending on which hive world they come from, may be a significant improvement on their life expectancy. The typical population of a hive world will easily number in the billions. A hive world that all Horus Heresy Legions players will be familiar with is Terra. Forge worlds are the workshops of the Imperium. Similar to agri-worlds, Forge worlds produce massive amounts of material for the Imperium. Forge worlds produce a variety of different things, from the humble last rifle used by the Imperial Guard to Imperial tanks, which can themselves leave a world barren of life. The running of Forge worlds is directly overseen by the Mechanicum. Please note, yes, I did say Mechanicum, not Mechanicus, or in full, Adeptus Mechanicus. When I cover the lore on the Mechanicum, I shall go over the differences between the Mechanicum, the Dark Mechanicum, and the Adeptus Mechanicus. A Forge world Horus Heresy Legion players will be familiar with is Mars. This is also the primary planet of the Mechanicum. The final world I would like to mention today are Death worlds. Now, as the name would imply, Death worlds are extremely dangerous places. Typically, everything within the Death world will be trying to kill you, from the plants, to the animals, to the environment. The closest example we have in modern day Earth would be Australia, although multiply that by 100 and add cancer. A notable famous death world would be, of course, Fenris, home of the Space Wolves. It should be noted, however, that death worlds do generally provide some of the best troops you will get for the Imperial army, and of course for Space Marine recruits. Now, before anybody shouts down my throat, yes, I did miss out feudal worlds, and I also did miss out research stations and feudal worlds. I will cover these in a later video. For now, I thought perhaps I would just keep it below the 7 to 8 minute mark and give a sort of brief overview of the planets that the Horus Heresy Legion players would be more familiar with. Next week I will be talking about the Eye of Terra and the Chaos Gods. So that one, I guess it's going to be a little bit longer, naturally. But until then, I'm off to finish drinking beer, and I hope you guys have a good week. Oh, and before I forget, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as ever, the links will be in the Discord. Before I forget, if you're having trouble with your decks, join the Discord. I will try and help you. If it's a Space Wolf deck, even better. But other than that, there are people about that are sort of giving advice. Until then, this is it this time. Have a good weekend. Not week. Weekend.